You gotta do that small. Yeah, there we go.
I always go like this. And
Is that how we do it?
And then I pull them down.
Is anyone?
Yours looks way better than mine. How are you?
Good.
Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for playing with words.
Yeah.
So-
I'm on a podcast.
Yeah, well, I don't know what it is.
Can
Like,
we eat hot wings and do it at the same time?
you can do whatever you
Let's
want.
start crying.
You can do whatever you want. However you decide you want to do it. There's, yeah. I don't know if we have hot wings in the
I'm on the edge
neighborhood.
of my seat. I can't wait.
Wait for what?
What her word is?
Well, do you want to get to it? Your dad is really chomping at the bit to hear your word.
I think mine.
Can you do it in front of your dad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Really?
Because is it going to confront him at all?
No. Well,
I hope it does. It's good.
I'm okay with whatever you
Yeah, no, you have to be okay. Yeah, we won't.
What this is about.
my word is family.
Family.
Because my whole life I've never really felt like I had a super deep connection with any of my family. Like, and I've been thinking about this a lot recently because in school, they'll always, like since preschool, they'd be like, oh, name 5 things that are important to you. And then like everybody would always say family. And that was never like the first thing that came to my mind. And everybody would always be like, family, friends, my pets. And I was like, family never really felt like something that was like super huge in my life until kind of recently. It's been a little different. But
How's it changed?
I don't know. Just
Has it
lots.
changed for the better or for the worse?
Both. Like in different areas, things are always like I'm closer to one person, and then like
Yeah.
that relationship kind of diminishes. Like,
Right. That's a pretty powerful concept, actually.
thank you.
Because when you start to go down that rabbit hole of family, you have chosen family, you have blood family, you have marriage family.
Yeah.
What does family mean to you?
So, oh,
That's the thing I've never known. Like,
Well, it
It's
must
never
mean
been-
something to you. What is it? What does it mean?
I don't know. It's never
I'm curious.
been
I mean,
like
that can
huge-
mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people.
I know.
is it something you're gonna like? Is it? Here's the question I always ask a lot of different ways: is there a vision for what you want to family to be? Like, do you have a specific either feeling or desire for that family?
Not really.
No.
I've always been like whenever we go to family friend barbecue things, where it's like all of like his friends and then their kids, and it's always weird because I feel like everyone always, obviously every family has their problems, and it's not always something that everybody knows about, but
Right.
everybody's family always seems so like
Together?
perfect and
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
friendly. And I know that everyone's like, oh, my siblings are fighting, whatever. But it's just been like, it feels different. I always feel like my family, like my home family, is different than everybody else's. And I don't exactly know why, but
That's really a good one.
thank you.
Do you want to talk about it more, or do you want to write?
Either way,
Okay.
I don't know. I've always felt closer to George than my mom because we see eye to eye on more things. I've never had a political conversation with my mom ever because she just like shuts it down, doesn't want to talk about it, and so I don't try anymore to talk to her about anything.
It is, and it's really funny. I just wrote this recently. Is the idea of having open dialogue with your family an important element of family? Would you say?
I think so.
Yeah, I think
Like,
so too.
I just spent the weekend with my friend's family, and she tells her parents like everything, and they know everything.
Right.
And it's like I've never felt like I could do that. So I feel like I'll be in trouble. Or like I don't know. It's never been like even if I don't feel like I'll be in trouble, I just don't feel like
That's such a powerful thought. When I was talking to Todd the other day about this too. The idea that a lot of times, how do we speak to our family, our kids? Do we speak like eye to eye, or do we speak like looking down?
Yeah.
Like I know what's right, or do we speak like looking up? Because I think that when you can have those open dialogues, like for me, I feel really grateful that I have those conversations with like Lola and Allie, where like there's really no boundaries, there's no right or wrong to a conversation. It's a matter of empathy or understanding. Like, okay, maybe we agree on some points, but at least we can talk about them as opposed to not talking about it. It's like, to me, that I call it emotional constipation, where you start to like feel angst because you can't talk about it.
Yeah, that's
And
how
it
it
can
is with
be
my mom.
really,
Like we'll learn about things at school, and I go to Catholic school, which is not my favorite thing. And she's weird about religion because she like says she's religious, but then like we don't go to church unless her dad's here or it's a holiday, and then she gets mad at the Christmas Catholics that only go to church on holidays, but that's literally us. And then it's like I have no like I don't know. I've never been able to talk to her. But my grandma asked me one time, like, if I believed in God, and I was like, maybe. She was like, well, I do. And I was like, I have no place to talk about where I stand in anything ever.
Can I take that tangent with you then really quick? About the idea of like believing in God and the idea, because this has always been an interesting question too, like at what point like were you either directed in a way to believe, or were you asked to believe? Like what was your belief system so that you could find out for yourself what works for you?
I don't know. I kind of just like slowly figured it out. It was kind of like Santa, like I saw. It was just like, this doesn't make sense. Like, and then I like went to Catholic school and I was in the classes, and it was like I always identified as like if someone was like, oh, like are you religious? I was like, oh yeah.
Right.
But like that's just because that's what I was told. Like
So
I
you're
didn't know
told
that I
it.
could really have a opinion on it until I got to school, and then I learned about it. And I had a horrible religion teacher last year, and that was just like, this is not what I want. I do not like anything about this. I don't like your values. I don't like your morals. I don't like you telling me exactly what I have to do all the time because of some invisible sky man. Like I don't know. I think religion is a beautiful thing, and I think like it's great if you have that outlet, but I don't think it should be forced upon anybody ever. Just like what's happening in Iran. Like,
Right.
I think it's like if you want to do that,
Moral
it's a
police?
beautiful thing. Yeah, that's ridiculous. They should not be forcing anything on anybody, especially because it's like mainly women
Right.
forcing it on. It's like,
So it's interesting that religion comes up, where I think that how do you get to your decision? Like, because to me there's a big difference between religion and God.
yeah,
I think that religion, as you've described it, and I've heard it described, and how I feel is that it tends to be more culty, where it's like, look, we don't process what we're talking about. This is how it is, and you either believe it or not.
yeah, that's how my school is.
Yeah, and so then if you're raised that way, where you don't have that choice, it's kind of a limiting concept of how you see the world.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say I was like didn't have a choice. It's like my mom would be mad at me if I like, didn't believe in God, because it's like
She would be or wouldn't be?
Wouldn't be. I don't think so. Do you think she would be? Yeah.
Well, see, here's the interesting word. This is
Celeste would, yeah.
This is why that word is up there, coercive control.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was watching this woman that was married. She was like, it was a arranged marriage, and so that she didn't have any choice in the marriage, and she didn't really she had any choice in any of her decisions.
Yeah.
And so there's the control that's put on people, but then there's the coercive control, which I just find so fascinating, which you don't realize it's happening, where it's like, oh no, you can do whatever you want, but if you do, mom and dad are going to hell. But no, you can do whatever you want. So it's a type of control that you're coercing the person in a very passive aggressive way that I find really fascinating.
Yeah.
So
Which is, I don't know, that's how my school is so confusing, because they're just like, free will, yes, but also if you do anything, like just everything that we do is wrong in there. Yes. And it's like, I don't know, do you want me to just sit in a room all the time, alone, and not talk to anybody? Like, we can't do anything in the room. And I talked to my new boyfriend about this, because his mom is super religious, and he grew up religious, and he's Christian, not Catholic, which there's a difference. I don't exactly know, like, the whole difference, but
Me neither.
it's, like, very minimal things. And I've talked to him about it, and he basically said that Christianity is more just, like, as long as you believe and then forgiveness, then you're fine, basically. And Catholicism is like, just like, I don't know. Catholicism kind of sucks. I don't really like it at all. It's so controlling and,
And they're complex.
yeah. And
To your
it's-
point where it's like, I don't know, like, if we have enough time even to go down that rabbit hole, to be honest, like, you could talk about that forever. It's really interesting, too, to me to see, like, this is what happens a lot with the conversations, because we start with family,
And then it like
and it goes to
down.
religion. And when I was talking to Maddie last week, I think I shared this with you, that because she was raised Catholic, right? She's from Chile. And so she really needed to get rid of the word religion. She needed to just, like, this was a way of her just saying, forget it, I'm not doing this anymore. And so that's how that came out. And so I think that, like, this is what I've done too before, just so you know. Like, I think that's really fascinating how I'm layering words, where to me, like, to layer religion and family over each other is really intimately connected. So if you want, you can use two words if you want.
Yeah.
So, or you can layer your word over religion if you want. And there's religion up there twice. I wrote it in red. She wrote it in green and yellow. So,
Family's just always been a confusing concept. I don't know exactly why. So I've never been, like, I don't know, I've experienced my friends who have siblings who are like super close to their siblings, and I've never really been super close to either of them. I got close to him, and then I didn't. And then, I don't know, she's not as annoying because she's like not screaming and crying and mad all the time. So, but
no, it's so complex, right? Because I think that Zest and I, we've gone through our hell, right? We've had a couple times that we're like, no, we weren't close as kids.
yeah,
And then Rach and I are like, I called her on Sunday to find out what she's doing. She never even called me back. And so it's interesting as we talk about religion and how religion relates to politics sometimes. She's in a relationship with a man that's really kind of very Trumpian is what I'll call it. And what's interesting is that when, I think it was Black Lives Matter, we were sitting on the porch and he and I were talking about it, right? And how it related to politics and all this. And it was me, Jill, Lola, and Rachel, and Stephanie. So we're talking. The two men are talking, right? As soon as we start talking about that, Lola jumps in and fucking takes control.
Yeah.
She just fucking went, like, literally she went for an honest conversation, and I found that so beautiful. And so her and Ted were going, did I ever tell you this?
Yeah.
So they were going at it, right? And then Rachel and Stephanie went in the house. They didn't want to be any part of it. So anyways, the point is that I think that how my relationship with my sister has changed with her relationship with her boyfriend is really interesting too,
Yeah.
where, you know, it's kind of estranged right now, I think, in some ways. So,
That exact dynamic is a huge factor in our family. Just this religion making it,
like
putting a cloud or creating a barrier or making it feel estranged, whatever, you know, just definitely not helping.
I tried to talk to my grandma, my mom's mom, about like climate change and all the things, and she was like, "Well, I believe in God, and I believe that God will fix it." And I was like, "Well, no, because even if you are going to look into the Bible and say like God gave us the earth and He told us to take care of it, it's not His responsibility anymore if He like did exist." And I was like, He's not going to fix it. Like, it's not. So basically, in her mind, she can do whatever she wants, and especially in that area, and like, God will fix it. Like, she could throw her trash on the ground, and it doesn't matter because
I think
God
the other
will
half
fix
is
it in the end.
she's gonna be gone. She doesn't matter to her. Old people don't care because
Yeah, but
like
that-
the climate isn't gonna exist when they're dead.
Yeah, but still, like, the whole point of like fixing it is for the people that come after us. Like, there's no way that we're gonna be able to fix it. Like, my generation isn't gonna be able to fix it, but we can sure like help it a lot. There's a lot of stuff we can do to like.
Well, you sure can't fix it if you have these barriers. You use the word barrier. If you can't even have that conversation, we're going back to the same thing that we're talking about. If you can't have the conversation with the people that made the problem, and they're going to deny they did the problem, and they're going to maybe say, "Oh, God will fix it." Well, like, no, He's entrusted you to fix it, not you, but us as an older generation. You know. So to me, that barrier that you spoke of is really interesting in the sense that I think that that's part of the problem, is that all these barriers that come from it, there's more boundaries, and I'll use this all the time. There's a right way to do things, and that's what the problem is, that there's only one way to do it, as opposed to collaborate. To me, and this is where I talk about with kids and family, where it's like, look, every single second of the way, we should be engaging the youngest kids in our lives to find out what they think.
Yeah.
Because to not ask them, you're not empowering them because they're so smart already. They already know.
Yeah.
And B, you're not acknowledging them as beings at some point.
Yeah.
So it's a really problematic cycle that the adults will fix the problem in the room, which they're not.
Yeah.
They're denying
Yeah.
I think I agree with what you're saying, but I also think that sometimes even as for young people, they can have a mindset that things are simple and sometimes not, like talking about abortion or gun rights or whatever. It's complex, and there isn't always a simple solution to everything. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
so then it's really interesting because when you said that to this, I thought, well, in some ways, I think there is a simple solution.
Yeah.
To me, the simple solution is two things: love and empathy. Like, if you come from a place of love, how can guns, like, how can we go so far down a gun? Fine, great, we need guns. Maybe there are a certain degree of guns, but how do you regulate them?
Yeah.
Abortion, what the fuck? That has no discussion other than with a woman in whatever. Like, that shouldn't even be a political issue. They are making it a political issue. These are simple things. It's like, look, you believe in abortion and I don't? Okay, guess what? I'm not going to do it. You do it.
Exactly. I don't understand why it has
So-
to be
so-
everybody's business.
So therefore, it's like, why does it have to be everybody's business? If you really, and that was the other political thing, right? Where it's like, conservatives like less regulation. Well, how does this end up getting regulated, right? Okay, so then you're going to use that argument with guns. Well, the reason you have to talk about guns is a totally different matter because people are dying.
Yeah.
The only people that are dying from abortion are the women that are being controlled.
Yeah.
Oh shit, we're going way down rabbit holes right now.
They
Do you like chasing rabbit? That's if I ever write a book, that's what it's going to be called, Chasing Rabbit Holes.
the incident that just happened in Colorado with the LGBTQ community. And I was thinking of you because they said,
You're thinking of this?
Yeah, well,
I wasn't there. I mean, I know what you're saying. It was.
I think about him a lot when I think about those issues too,
You guys are
because
way better.
it will make
he hasn't
sense.
come out yet. So
It'll make sense because one of the talking points at the moment is that there were red flags and that there were signs that this individual had mental health issues and had guns, and so then they were having this discussion about making it a responsibility of firemen to then communicate with mental health community that then they should go to that individual and take his guns away, and then it goes down. This is why I'm saying it's complex, and then it's
It
like,
is.
well, then now it's Dis's fault that somebody got shot
Right.
at a nightclub because he dealt with this guy a month ago because he was crazy at a McDonald's and he didn't report it. You know, that's my point. It's like and I just thought it was really interesting because then you could take that and layer it on top of all kinds of subjects like abortion, for example.
I think they should
And we were
stop
talking
blaming
yesterday
shootings
about
on
we started talking about yesterday.
What's that?
I think they should stop blaming shootings on solely mental health.
yeah,
Because I think, like, obviously part of it is definitely these people are not great in the head if they think that that's the solution to their problems. But, like, yeah, especially if it's, like, when it comes to the racial aspect of it, it's like if a black person went and shot up a building, it would just be because they're black. But if
Right.
a white teenager goes and does it, it's because they have mental health problems and they can't go to jail for life because they're young and they don't know. But they know. Like I'm not like kids my age are growing up and shooting up schools.
Yeah.
And they know that that's not the right thing to do. And it's like, it's not just, like, it should, obviously, like,
But
mental health is probably definitely an aspect of it, but it's like, you don't do that. Just
well, it's only
because you're mentally ill.
it is, you know, mental health is a part of it, but it's like we've let it go so far down the rabbit hole that the regulation needs to be part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because that's what I do in my job now. Is I sit on what we call a behavioral consultation team, which is our students, faculty, staff, and non-affiliates that they bring to us that we have concerns about them. This is a person that's demonstrated a behavior, and the thing to remember is this is a totally to your point. It's not a mental health issue. I mean, clearly somebody is willing to go to an extreme, but it's a predatory behavior. The person gets pissed off and yells and is demonstrative. Those are people that are that is a emotional reaction. And those aren't the ones you're worried about. The ones that you're constantly worried about are the ones that are back. They're making a plan. They're accumulating weapons. They're doing research on the internet. Yeah. Some of your age, do you know who Klebold was? Who Bill and Klebold was? One of the Columbine shooters, which is natural because it happened before you were born. Somebody says, "Oh yeah, Eric Harris, I know who that dude is." It means he's been going on websites to research Columbine, which was kind of our so it's a predatory behavior. So that's a very long kind of it's way more layered than.
If you're going to go down the mental health issue, you've got to open up that whole can of worms too.
Yeah.
To me, because right now religion is a very big mental health issue. So, and I think that when you start to look at these shooters, they're doing it under the name of God, and somehow it's justifiable and it's right. So,
Okay, I'll end with one.
Go ahead, yeah.
Because this is
because this is all about Frankie, but go ahead.
You talk about what we're concerned about terrorism, our terrorism, and a very big portion of our population would immediately go to, okay, we're worried about Saudi Arabia, we're worried about something. Our threat, and this is through the FBI, is what we call homegrown violent extremists. You're white, typically neo-Nazi. These are the people that are going in and shooting up places, and that's the real threat. I mean, so it's at least acknowledging what you're worried about versus that which is pop culture and an easy scapegoat to where, okay, where's our real problem? Well, our problem is really largely within the people, like the Colorado Springs nightclub.
Yeah.
Perfect example of an HEE.
There's plenty of examples, unfortunately.
Isn't that the
So I have to ask you a question. Do you want to keep going down this rabbit hole, or do you want to write a word? Because we could talk about this much
There's
longer,
a lot, yeah.
and we can continue it later too.
Yeah, we've got 4 days.
We do, yeah.
So would you like to write?
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to pause this for a